Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight, why the opposition leader says there's more than meets the eye at NIB, how the pandemic is hitting household budgets and debt. Plus, the Bahamas make strides in the fight against HIV/AIDS. Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, the Ministry of Health reporting just 2 new COVID-19 cases today, representing a huge drop in new cases in recent weeks. Both cases, a man and a woman, are on the island of New Providence. It brings the total number of cases to 1,743. Meanwhile, hospitalized cases dropped to 16. Health officials reported 11 new COVID-19 cases last night, 7 on Grand Bahama and 4 on New Providence. And curious and odd is how Progressive Liberal Party leader Philip Davis is describing the shocking resignation of National Insurance Board Director Dr. Nicola Virgil Roll. Davis says he believes there's more to the story than meets the eye. Bethany McDermott reports.
Davis insisted that this latest resignation, coupled with other resignations and firings that rocked the minister-led government this term, is a testament to the Prime Minister's ability to lead.
It goes back to the letter that was written by those persons who would have deposed him as leader of the opposition business in the House, led by Loretta Butler and Richard Lightburn and others. They speak to his leadership qualities, one of which was that he was unable to hold a team together.
Following the shocking resignation of National Insurance Director Nicola Virgil Roll, opposition leader Philip Davis says he feels Bahamians aren't getting the full story.
I have not heard the stories, but I think it must have been something very fundamental that goes to the core of her being and her ethics. And that goes to what she understands, her integrity, the integrity that's required of her in the execution of duty. I would suspect that those factors would have played a very pivotal role in her decision to leave NIB at this time.
Amid speculation about Virgil Roll's resignation, the Lyford Key Foundation issued a press statement on Monday announcing Virgil Roll's appointment as its new executive director. It's a move Minister responsible Brenzel Roll says took him by surprise. Davis called it curious that her resignation came at such a crucial time.
It is rather curious that at a time when the NIB entity is so necessary now to bring relief to the Bahamian people, particularly workers who are now furloughed, that this time should be stepping aside. It is rather curious and odd.
The PLP leader added that from what he knows of Virgil Roll, he doesn't think she would just up and leave such a vital post.
What I know of the managing director, she is a public servant. She's very committed to this country. She's never allowed politics to interfere with the discharge of her duties. I know that she's so committed to the country that she would not just leave a post as important as that in this time.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Bethany McDermott.
Thanks, Bethany. Minister of Public Service and National Insurance Brenzel Roll is also addressing the sudden resignation of NIB Director Dr. Nicola Virgil Roll. Outside Cabinet today, Roll said he did not see her resignation coming. Jasmine Brown reports.
The NIB minister says her resignation came as a surprise, as he also said it's simply too early to say who will be her replacement.
Yes, to some degree it was a surprise.
Roll says that's because Virgil Roll was leading the charge at NIB during a crucial time as more Bahamians seek assistance due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Virgil Roll offered her letter of resignation to the minister just 2.5 years after her appointment. This comes at a time when the need for social assistance remains great. Roll said it is too early to say exactly when Virgil Roll will officially leave NIB, as negotiations are still ongoing.
The contract demands that she gives 3 months notice, or alternatively we gave 3 months notice. So we're now working through how we're going to deal with the process going forward.
So will she be on for the next 3 months?
I cannot give you that assurance. I spoke with her yesterday. We will negotiate exactly what we're going to do.
The Lyford Key Foundation confirmed on Monday that Virgil Rolle is its new executive director. The National Insurance Minister says he spoke to Virgil Rolle on Monday. When asked if they discussed the reason behind her sudden resignation, Rolle said this.
She indicated that this was a better opportunity, a more firm opportunity than perhaps being on a contract at NIB. And so she thought that it was in her best interest to move on.
Meantime, the minister says the search for a new director of the National Insurance Board will begin in earnest. He also addressed rumors that Patrick Ward, a former NIB chairman, was being eyed to replace Virgil Rolle.
It's too early to even speculate.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
And household debt continues to rise according to new data from the central bank. Jared Higgs takes a look.
It's like now you're scrapping, trying to do anything you can do.
47-year-old Gary Richardson is from Abaco and has taken a double blow with Dorian first and the pandemic. He has a loan and says keeping up is extremely difficult, especially for a self-employed person and little help from NIB.
As a self-employed person, I've worked for people for 30 years or more. I've been self-employed for 1.5 years, maybe 2, and they kick me. It's just like I'm some foreigner in this country.
Many Bahamians weren't as lucky as Richardson in keeping up with their loans in October. A central bank report says combined residential mortgage and personal loan delinquencies increased by $57.8 million that month. The increase in arrears was underpinned by a rise in short-term delinquencies due to the adverse effects stemming from the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Richardson, a father of 2, is holding on thanks to odd jobs available in Abaco in construction and debris cleaning. But with the tourism sector struggling throughout the country, unemployment numbers have soared.
Self-employment is great when it's, you're making money, but when you're not, it's hard.
Some senior bank officials are likening the state of affairs to the recession in 2008 and 2009 and say it could take several years for people to get their debt under control.
People can't sustain themselves. Like, how are you going to survive?
27-year-old Sasha Nevers has student loan debt back in Jamaica and is selling food to get by during the pandemic. She says that government decisions made an already tough situation even tougher.
There's still a light bill, you still got to pay all your utility bills. So those aren't going away. Once we're able to go out and work and make some money, then that's fine, no problem.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
Meanwhile, the Hurricane Dorian Small Homes Repair Program needs $13 million in funding to pay off vendors and repair homes damaged more than a year ago. Minister of State for Disaster Preparedness, Management and Reconstruction, Iram Lewis, says they are pressed for funds.
Even though we are undergoing serious financial challenges right now, we'll see how we can do our best to secure that funding, secure the level of funding, which is a lot. Considering the times that we are in, it is slightly over $13 million that we need to finish the program. And that is by no stretch of the imagination a small number.
Under the program, residents impacted by Hurricane Dorian can access up to $10,000 in funds for repairs. Back in September, Lewis revealed an influx of registrants led to a delay of residents receiving supplies and vendors being paid. Lewis says at the time, the program had more than 4,000 registrants.
We know that there are persons who are anxiously waiting for the program to continue, and we will be making an announcement in short order. We have a paper to present to Cabinet to get all of the necessary financing to move the project forward.
He is pleading with vendors and registrants to be patient. Well, we saw cool, breezy weather today, but what's ahead? Here's Greg Thompson in the weather studio. Greg?
Thanks, Christina. I'm meteorologist Greg Thompson with your first look at weather. Outside our studios, very cool and chilly conditions. Temperatures are in the upper 60s under partly cloudy skies. We expect those temperatures to continue dropping. Your winds out of the northeast, that's going to keep things rather cool. Your feels like temperature around 69 degrees Fahrenheit. Satellite view, strong cold front now pushing into the central Bahamas with lots of clouds associated with that. You notice behind we have very clear skies, so that high pressure is building in. The cold air mass will be invading, and we can expect more cooler temperatures. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on Our News, a high-speed chase and a manhunt on Grand Bahama. The national men's basketball team hits the court with Puerto Rico. That's coming up when Our News returns.
Just when you thought the year would end drought, Rev came through with Magic and Holiday Cheer. Our cashback will double, making more spirits rise, with chances to spin and with a dope random prize. rules are quite simple. You can find them online. Just sign up for Trio and pay your Rev bill on time. Our grocery store dash is sure to bring smiles as 16 lucky winners tear through the aisles. Call 601-8992 or visit rev.bs/promotions to find out how you can win with Rev's Field of Magic giveaway. Rev, you and us, together.
It was an action-packed day for Grand Bahama police officers as they pursued an armed suspect who led them on a high-speed chase. Jillian Gray has the details.
Officers on Grand Bahama were in hot pursuit of a suspect today after what started out as a routine traffic stop escalated into a high-speed chase. The man, according to bystanders, eventually stopped his car at the Lucaya roundabout on the junction of East Sunrise Highway and Seahorse Road in the area of Lucayan Medical Center. He was chased by police through a track road just to the east of the clinic. A crowd of onlookers got a little too close to the active scene, prompting officers to send this message.
Because we're still looking, I don't want you up close, because if any shots fired, you don't need no one. So what I need y'all to do is step back, please. How come y'all didn't call the dogs yet? Yeah, we got that.
Police press liaison Teresita Pinder said the suspect had a firearm and the chase for officers proved fruitless.
Police were starting a suspect in regards to firearm. Police were in pursuit of them on the streets of Grand Bahama. Unfortunately, the person ditched the vehicle and ran in bushes, and we weren't able to find him. Police are at this moment looking for him because we have a suspect in mind. We may know who that person is.
A wrecker eventually moved the suspect's champagne-colored Chevrolet, and officers say they are still looking for that suspect. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
In other news, it's World AIDS Day. Today, local health officials discuss the strides made in the national fight against HIV and AIDS. Giorgio Bain has that.
Due to social distancing protocols, many of this year's World AIDS Day activities were virtual. However, 2020 marked a record-breaking year in the fight against HIV/AIDS, according to Acting Director of the HIV/AIDS Center, Nurse Bernishka Lewis.
2019, we only had 125 new cases, which is a great reduction. And even when we look at mother-to-child transmission of HIV, we had 0 cases last year. So that means that out of all of the women living with HIV that delivered, all of their babies were negative when we tested those kids.
With HIV/AIDS stats down and mother-to-child transmission brought to 0, Director of the HIV/AIDS and Infectious Disease Program, Dr. Nakia Forbes, says the Bahamas will continue to make strides now that top-shelf medication is offered for free.
We were able to broker high-quality brand medications in partnership with a leading drug company at a very good rate for the Bahamas, and we launched that earlier in the year, in the spring in February, before the outbreak of the epidemic.
The HIV/AIDS fight was also impacted by the coronavirus pandemic, which forced the closure of treatment clinics, according to Lewis.
Our clinic that's normally held every week at Princess Margaret Hospital has been postponed indefinitely. But we realized that the need is still there, so we had to tweak and find a new location for us to be able to still have our weekly clinic, and so that clients are able to see doctor and still get their medication that's needed for their lives. Additionally, we had to adjust, and now we have it's actually helped us to improve our services because we've been able to improve our appointment system.
Despite the strides being made, Lewis said the Bahamas still has a long way to go.
We're one of the first countries in the region to have started PrEP, which is pre-exposure prophylaxis, and it's for persons who are HIV negative, but they have an increased risk for transmission. And so we have seen an increase in persons coming for that, so we would like to see that happen as well, for persons to continue to be comfortable enough to come and access that service. We want to see more persons who are living with HIV come back. If they have defaulted from care, we would love to see them return so we can get them back in care, back on their medication, so that they can become virally suppressed.
Meanwhile, Forbes said with treatment lagging behind, the global fight to end AIDS is being hindered. Reporting for Our News, I'm Giorgio Bain.
And parties and social gatherings are prohibited in courtrooms after a courtroom independence party held by court staffers went viral on social media. Addressing media on Monday, Chief Justice Brian Maurice says disciplinary action was taken against some staffers, and now events must go through a designated procedure before they can be approved.
An application involves the approval It involves appointing a senior court officer to preside over those proceedings, and it also involves oversight to ensure adherence with strict physical distancing.
In that courtroom video, women can be seen gyrating and holding beverages in a courtroom in the magistrate's court complex. Some criticized court officials for allowing an event of that nature to take place under their watch. Marie insists it won't happen again.
We do not expect a reoccurrence of that event, and Mrs. Grant, our new court administrator in the magistrate's court, is fully engaged in that regard. And I don't think the public will see that happening again.
We've got a lot more news on the way, but first, here's your RF Market Watch.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
Still to come, rebuilding efforts continue on Grand Bahama. Stay with us.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
This is Our News. Welcome back. It's the sound of tractors and steamrollers that signals a silver lining for Grand Bahamians. Devastation left by monster storm Dorian more than a year ago is finally being wiped away as the construction of a new administrative building, roads, and seawalls in East Grand Bahama progresses. Member of Parliament for East Grand Bahama, Peter Turnquest, praised the rebuilding efforts.
This area was completely devastated. Everything here was washed away. And so kudos to the residents here who have taken up the challenge to restore some living accommodations for themselves while we wait for these land titles to be cleared so that they can qualify for the government assistance programs and build back in the resilient manner.
Turnquest joined Minister of State for Grand Bahama, Kwesi Thompson, and Disaster and Reconstruction Minister Iram Lewis on a tour of what was once just rubble. Once complete, the new $300,000 administrative office project will house the police station, urban renewal offices, and ferry dock operators. Roadworks in Rocky Creek, the expansion of Pelican Point Road, and repairs to the seawall in McLeanstown are all part of the $6 million contract for roadworks in East and West Grand Bahama.
If you look around the island, Albuquerque and Grand Bahama, most of the buildings that had the metal roof with a shorter overhang withstood most of the forces of the hurricane. The interior of that building is pretty much poured solid concrete, making it a stronger system. Where we are standing right now, we are on a slope called a revetment. As you would see to my left, what is now in the water, but wall construction came back and we built it in a more resilient manner.
In sports tonight, a tight battle for our national basketball team against Puerto Rico. Marcellus Hall has more.
All right, thanks a lot, Christina. Well, it's back to business yesterday for our senior men's national basketball team, looking to bounce back from a disappointing blowout loss against the United States. Facing off against Puerto Rico, this one went quite a bit differently. Let's take a look. Much better showing for our Bahama men's senior national basketball team yesterday, taking on Puerto Rico. Bahamas offense looking good in the contest as they took a 44-41 lead into the half. Second half, Bahamas still maintaining the lead into the fourth quarter, but critical turnovers and missed free throws proved costly. Bahamas scored just 2 points in the final 6 minutes. Puerto Rico gets the win 91-85. Deshaun Taylor led the way for the Bahamas squad with 25 points. Willis Mackey, who didn't play in the first game against the USA, chipped in with 18 points and 7 rebounds. Afterwards, he talked about what went wrong down the stretch.
I'll say executing our sets, realizing, like I said earlier, what is working throughout the entire game, and just trying to keep at that. I think, like I said, in the last first off, I didn't know it was only 2 points in the last 6 minutes. So, I mean, obviously, there's no way to make that sound good. It's pretty bad. So we need to just remember what got us there and just keep pushing forward with that.
Now, the Bahamas will get a chance to play both the U.S. and Puerto Rico again in February right here at home.
I say for the February window, you just need to learn how to stay with what we're doing. The whole game, we were doing a lot of good things. We were running our sets pretty well, and I think at the end we just kind of forgot what we were doing that was successful at the beginning, and I think that'd be a easy adjustment for us coming up in the next window. Just running our stuff and realizing what we're doing is working. Let's keep at it.
Your Monday Night Football contest last night saw the Seattle Seahawks improve their record to 8-3. They took down the Philadelphia Eagles 23-17. DK Metcalf, a career-high 177 yards receiving as he caught 10 passes. Russell Wilson threw for 230 yards and a touchdown. Seahawks now 1 game ahead of the Rams for the lead in the NFC West. Week 12 not done yet. Baltimore Ravens and Pittsburgh Steelers contest now set for tomorrow afternoon at 3:40 after being originally postponed from last Thursday due to concerns about COVID-19 infections on the Ravens, including quarterback Lamar Jackson. So, of course, we'll give you full details of all the things going on around the world of sports coming up for you tomorrow. Until then, back to you, Christina.
Thanks, Marcellus. Still to come, cooler temperatures around the country, but for how long? Plus, what does COVID-19 have to do with holiday shopping online? The answer when Our News returns.
Just when you thought the year would end drought, Rev came through with Magic and Holiday Cheer. Our cashback will double, making more spirits rise, with chances to spin and with a dope random prize. The rules are quite simple. You can find them online. Just sign up for Trio and pay your Rev bill on time. Our grocery store dash is sure to bring smiles as 16 lucky winners tear through the aisles. Call 601-8992 or visit rev.vs/promotions to find out how you can win with Rev's Field of Magic giveaway. Rev, you and us, together.
How long will cooler conditions last? Here's Greg with another look at weather.
Thanks again, Christina. In our second look at weather, it is beginning to look a lot like Christmas. The temperatures outside very cool, courtesy of a strong cold front and a high-pressure system that's building across the area. That frontal boundary will move into the southeast Bahamas later on tonight through tomorrow, but very cold air mass behind that will be invading our area, as well as some very strong winds. Your boating forecast for the northwest and central Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. Your winds will be out of the northeast to east at 15 to 25 knots, so we have an advisory posted for you guys. Sea is very rough, 5 to 8 feet over the ocean. While in the southeast Bahamas, those winds will be out of the northeast to east at around 15 knots. Sea is running 3 to 5 feet over the ocean. Here's a look now at your national forecast. And now a look at your extended forecast through Sunday. That's a look at our weather. Have a chilly night, everyone.
Well, local shipping companies are stepping up to meet the demand as Bahamian customers fill their carts when shopping online. Just Ship It operations manager Alexis Roberts says this year is different for many courier and shipping companies as they may be impacted by the rollout of a COVID-19 vaccine.
FedEx, USPS, those couriers would be backed up as well. And in the event that they start to roll out the vaccine, those are the companies that are going to be used to transport them in and through the United States. So that would also slow down the delivery of packages as well.
Roberts admits that business during the pandemic was challenging at first with rolling lockdowns and curfews, but businesses adapted to provide digital payment solutions and doorstep delivery. Not only were Bahamians doing more online shopping, but what they ordered was changing to include everyday items.
Items that you normally get at your local grocery store, your local stores here in Nassau. So it lets us know that even though the customers can't travel, they're also afraid to travel just to the local stores.
And the Queen of Soca, Allison Hines, has joined the Zonta Club of New Providence's campaign, Say No to Violence Against Women and Girls. The club's 16 days of activism wraps up with a wine dinner and live virtual performance this Saturday by the Barbadian soca star. Hines says female empowerment is a cause close to her heart.
The Club of New Providence is all about women empowerment. The empowerment of women and girls, and making sure that women's rights are recognized, fully recognized as human rights. No woman should ever have to live in fear of violence. And as we all know, violence in any form is unacceptable.
Thank you for joining us for Our News Tonight. I'm Christina Dragovich. We'll see you tomorrow night. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.